Look at this. Look, just look at this. And tell me you think a professional CGI artist made this. Wait a minute. This is just that scene from Death Note, but worse.
Hey, yo!
Liam, you made that.
So, X-Arm is pretty awful. I've been watching anime for a couple years at this point, and it's safe to say this was the worst one I have seen to date. Like scratch this being the worst of 21. This may be the worst of all time, and no, I'm not just being dramatic. Editor's note, maybe I was, but I'm still really not sure where to place this. Like, it's debatable. It's definitely debatable. It's definitely, I wouldn't say up there, down there as one of the worst I have just. It's just so bad. To be honest, I don't particularly enjoy hating on shows, like particularly on the internet, to like a potentially big group of people, because it feels kind of disrespectful to all the time and effort that people put into these shows. But whose idea was it to create a 3D anime, but then draw like half of it in 2D for no reason at all? And that's not even my only issue with this anime. So let's take a deep dive into the worst anime of the year, X-Arm. The X-Arm anime is a Crunchyroll original 3D anime that came out on January 11, 2021. But with how lifeless the characters feel, it may as well just never have aired. I think it's important to give credit where credit is due though. I found their website, xarm-anime.com, and it had a really cool animation when the page loaded up. This, 10-second animation looks better than the entire show. Another interesting fact is that the director has no anime credits and the CGI studio has never done anime before, besides doing some backgrounds for Sekiro, which I have never seen, so I cannot tell you whether that's good or not. The writer just doesn't seem to exist. This person is named Tommy Morton, and I have done some research, and I and clearly other people just cannot find anything on this person. Like, they just don't exist. I don't know. The director apparently wrote a show named Stay Tuned, but it seems that's a live action show. So I'm not really going to consider that when it comes to writing anime. It's kind of different. But yeah, a lot of these people don't seem to be very anime experienced, but hey, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end up bad. But let's just see how it goes. Usually, this is where I recap the story, but I genuinely can't get myself to finish this show. Like, it just isn't entertaining for me, and I keep finding little things that just upset me. Like the blank expressions characters give when they aren't talking takes me the wrong way. So here's what I was able to gather in the 3 episodes that I was able to stumble. In 2016, this guy Akira dies trying to save a girl from a group of thugs. 4 years later, in 2020, some figure that looks like Kira, but when you turn on your phone's inverse color feature, you know that nasty thing, anyways, wreaks havoc on Tokyo. This devastating attack was done through X-Arms. What is an X-Arm? Well, they're these robot weapons that give the user some special ability. That's what I could gather so far. 10 years later, after the attack on Tokyo, is where the main plot begins. The anti-X-Arm task force is, made, and they try to capture all the X-Arms to keep Tokyo safe. Oh, and after Kira dies, his brain was preserved, and he becomes an X-Arm, hence the whole attack thing, but he's on the good guy side. Was that confusing? Well, that's a mix of my low attention span, fatigue, and the story just not being very captivating or well explained in my opinion. Well, it's not badly explained, I just didn't pay enough attention, to be honest. Like, in the simplest explanation, he dies, his brain is preserved in an X-Arm, but instead of being used for evil, he helps the good guys. Yay. Anyways, let's talk about why this isn't a good anime in my opinion. Now, there's some impressions I got from watching. Mainly, I can see what the show was trying to do a lot of the time. It just could have been executed better. Like this first fight scene, for example, in 2D with some faster animation and cuts to different angles and stuff, this fight would have been fine. But in 3D, sometimes it starts to feel a little janky, for lack of a better term. Like, it just feels like a couple of dolls just being thrown around at each other. Like, sometimes the animation just feels so off. There's no better way to describe it, it just feels off. And I get that 3D animation is hard, to be honest. 3D animation on its own is hard to do right, but it is possible for it to actually look good, but it just doesn't here. Also, the talking animation is subpar, to say the least. Like, the studio really just flopped the lips on the characters around and call it a day. And sometimes we don't even get that much, which sucks because I know there are tutorials on YouTube for free that probably could have taught you to do it better. But hey, that's out of my jurisdiction. This sort of laziness, for lack of a better word, extends way past lip syncing. Some characters are just in 2D for no explained reason. My guess is that because it's really hard to model and develop 3D models of characters, they just drew them in to save time. But if that's the case, then why not just do 2D animation? I promise it would look a lot better and would spare me from being removed from the show every couple minutes because some characters are unusually flat. And this doesn't just happen when there's no 3D characters on screen. I mean, you can literally see 2 3D characters and 2 2D ones for no reason at all. Not to mention, one of the 2D characters on screen was just 3D in the previous frame. And this screenshot is from the first episode, mind you. An episode that's supposed to entice people to come back and watch more. And this is what we see. And by no means am I downplaying how hard and time consuming good animation, especially 3D animation, is, but this is so unapologetically nonchalant. They're also pretty bad with camera jumps. Like, it can be pretty distracting, but it does not happen too often, so I'll let it slide, I guess. But honestly, it just seems so unprofessional and blatantly uninspired. Hypothetically, let's say someone made a fan animation of their favorite show in 3D and it had a couple of these issues in it. I wouldn't be that mad because it was one person or maybe even a small group of people who are not professionals. But even then, simple errors like the camera randomly moving around or jumping for no reason probably wouldn't happen. Why? Because if you actually care about your work, you'd probably try to fix it, or, you know, just because it's something you care about. It feels like the studio and those who worked on it really just did not care about this one. Like, this genuinely feels like a huge slap to the face to watch. Like, how could your final product for a 3D anime have 2D characters in it? Like, that, it still bothers me because it's a lot of them that are 2D, a lot of the characters. Like, if this was before it was released and they were going to go back and fix it, I wouldn't mind. But this is the version of the episode they felt most comfortable putting out. This was the final version. That's actually astonishing. I just don't understand why nobody on the production team was like, you know, maybe we should just not put this out. But anyways, I genuinely can't keep talking about the show. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe. Comment what your favorite anime is and what your least favorite is. If you have any ideas about what I should talk about, why not comment them as well. You can follow me on Instagram for updates on videos and the channel in general. In addition, if you're an artist who needs beat, why not check out my friend Halik? A link to all his information and such is in the description. Also, if you like photography, then check out my friend Renzu Photos on Instagram. Link is also in the description. That's all. Have a great day, night, or whatever time it is, and I'll see you next time.
Let's do that again, shall we?